There are a few telltale habits, traits, and techniques that immediately give away if a piano student is self-taught. Being self-taught isn't a bad thing, and every method for learning the piano has its strengths and weaknesses. But with a few key changes and a little bit of guidance, you can shore up some of the most common problems for self-taught students and start sounding way more polished and professional. Number 1, knowing snippets of a handful of super well-known pieces from memory, but not knowing any complete songs, knowing how to read sheet music, or how to properly play by ear. Let's be honest, we all know that person, or maybe you are that person, who every time they see a piano, they have to go over and play the first 8 bars of River Flows in You, or the first 8 bars of For Elise, or the first 8 bars of Piano Man. And the first 8 bars of a few popular pieces is pretty much the extent of their repertoire. Now, before I tell you how I'd fix this problem, let me introduce a concept for how I'd like to frame these common self-taught problems and their solutions. In the crafting world, there's this concept of handmade versus homemade. Handmade is artisan quality, luxury, unique items. All the more special and impressive because they were made by hand. And homemade is that wonky crocheted potholder that your niece made you. You love it for the sentimental value. But it's clear to anyone looking at it that you didn't buy this thing and it's not exactly craftsman quality. Much like homemade, self-taught has acquired a bit of a negative or lower quality connotation in the piano community. And I think we need a bit of a rebrand and a way to differentiate the people who occasionally mess around with some YouTube tutorials or simply piano, but aren't looking to build real skills or even pursue piano as a serious hobby, which is totally fine, you do you, from the dedicated students who are trying to build real piano skills, but for a myriad of reasons are doing so without a formal teacher. I'm going to call this type of student the independent learner. Serious, dedicated, and aiming to do things in the most optimal and efficient way. So let's talk about the independent learner upgrade for problem number 1. Independent learners are going to find a method for learning pieces that isn't YouTube Synthesia tutorials or plucking out a couple of bars of popular tunes. My suggestion if you want to play classical music is to learn to read sheet music, preferably with an established method to start with like Faber or Alfred, supplementing with some online resources like Piano Marvel or other apps or tutorials, and then moving into classical repertoire collections. Now, if you want to play jazz or pop styles mostly, I'd focus on learning the very basics of sheet music and then focus on learning to read chords or lead sheets, as well as learning to improvise and really developing your ear training and your ability to truly and properly play by ear. The second common self-taught problem is playing pieces that are way too hard and playing them quite inaccurately. Look, who among us hasn't bitten off more than we can chew before? It is perfectly natural to be drawn to those amazing bucket list pieces. But without any external guidance, it can sometimes be a little too easy to convince ourselves to take on massively difficult repertoire before we're ready. I think that this is usually not coming from a place of arrogance or willfully choosing the wrong repertoire. I think that many times students just don't know, 1, what repertoire is out there and that there are great pieces at every level, and 2, how to tell if a piece is at an appropriate level. How challenging should your repertoire be? Is it normal to spend 2 weeks working on a single measure or many, many years working on a single piece? So a smarter approach, our independent learner approach, involves exploring more of the fantastic pedagogical repertoire that exists in collections like Royal Conservatory, Masterworks Classics, or even in great method books, to find pieces they love but are at an appropriate level to help them make progress, not just jumping straight to those bucket list pieces. And independent learners use smart guidelines to help determine where their appropriate repertoire level is, like picking pieces that are 2 to 3 levels higher than your sight reading level, and generally speaking, choosing pieces they can perfect in a couple of months. A few exceptions here and there are okay, and I would recommend checking out my sight reading series for a little bit more info on that topic. Number 3, the next common issue for self-taught players, and sadly a lot of people who learned with teachers, is playing with poor posture and poor technique. This one in particular, I would really say is not the fault of the learner. I've done several videos reviewing various beginner piano apps and books, and almost none of them have any info whatsoever on posture and technique. and those that do are usually very limited or even sometimes bad information. And while some YouTube tutorials, especially from reputable people, mention posture and technique, many do not, simply because it's not very interesting to most viewers and not likely to get people to click or keep watching. And in my opinion, this is a real travesty because poor technique can lead to a lot of tension and pain and even injury. And obviously, while teaching highly advanced technique must be done in person, there is so much advice that is very generic, can be applied to anyone, and can do so much to avoid tension, discomfort, and even injury. So a smart fix for this problem is to keep a few key principles of posture in mind. When seated at the piano with your hands on the keys, your wrists and forearms should be parallel and just slightly higher than the keys. You should be sitting back far enough that the elbows come out slightly in front of the ribs, and your hand shape should be in a gently rounded and relaxed shape. A lot of people ask me about upgrading their instrument to improve their technique, but if you have 88 fully weighted keys, but you're sitting in a desk chair, I would get an adjustable bench first. That's going to make a way bigger difference. And keep in mind that there are adjustable benches with back support if that's something that you need. Then, while it would take about 1,000 YouTube videos to explore every depth and angle of piano technique, the absolute most important technique to learn isn't any BS finger strengthening or independence exercises. Not arpeggios, not octaves, but simply learning to keep your hands as relaxed as possible when you play, and learning to let the weight of the arm do most of the work in bringing the key down. It's not sexy, but it is challenging to correct if you're not used to playing this way and have built poor technical habits over many years. The fourth common problem for self-taught players is playing with too much pedal or no sense of historical style or accuracy. I once had a student come in for a trial lesson who had previously been self-taught, and I had her play a couple of things that she had been working on recently, and she played a lovely little Chopin waltz with lots of pedal and rubato, and then she pulled out Bach's Invention in F major and played it like this. Also, lots of pedal and rubato. And it really was kind of a nice reimagining of the invention. But in this case, the student simply had no idea that there are guidelines for when to use the pedal, or how to play pieces by different composers or from different style periods differently. Now, I would say if you're just playing for fun, it's probably okay to play pieces the way that you like and is the most fun for you. I would assert that learning to play different styles is fun and is more exciting than playing everything the same, but you can do what you want. However, this student was coming to lessons because she really wanted to progress with piano and ultimately do things like exams and adjudications. So in this case, learning the rules and guidelines for pedaling and historical performance practice was important for her. So here, my suggestions for independent learners will vary slightly depending on your goals with piano. I would recommend that everyone learn at least the basic guidelines of how to play Baroque pieces, classical pieces, etc. And then you can choose to what level you want to adhere to those guidelines in your own playing. If you're a little bit more serious, listening to recordings of pieces from different periods by serious academic pianists is the best resource. Finding a recording of a professor of piano playing a piece that you're working on is actually in this case probably more useful than the recording of a world famous concert pianist playing it. Because when you reach that level, you're kind of allowed to start doing your own thing. But the academics, in my experience, are going to be more likely to adhere very strictly to proper historical performance practice. And using good pedagogical editions like Schirmer Performance Editions and Alfred Masterworks Editions are very useful because they will typically have more guidance than the Urtext editions and will include some notes on how to play particular passages or interpret certain markings. Similar to number 4, the fifth problem for some self-taught pianists is having very little knowledge of musical symbols, terminology, and music theory, etc. Now, what I mean here very specifically is that students will know how to play something, they just won't know what it's called. So they might know that this means that you play all of the Fs sharp, but they might not know that that means we're in G major or E minor, or that that's called a key signature. Now, in the grand scheme of things, knowing how to execute a particular element of the score is way more important than knowing its Italian name. probably Italian, maybe German, maybe French. But it's definitely helpful to have a grasp of fundamental musical terminology. That way when you're watching a video, reading a book, or looking at a particular piece, you're not missing important information just because you're unfamiliar with the terminology. So I would recommend that independent learners make sure to take note of basic musical terms and try to grow their knowledge of musical terminology as their repertoire advances. This is where using a reputable method is very useful, or later on, well-edited classical repertoire collections. And perhaps occasionally give yourself little quizzes or challenge yourself to point out different elements like time signature, key signature, dynamics, or define certain markings in your music. Now, I don't think that everyone has to be a music theory expert. I quite like music theory, but I'm aware that's a personal flaw that I need to work on. But a basic understanding of music theory, notes, intervals, chords, harmonic progressions, is very useful for building your musical literacy, your understanding of your pieces, and even helpful for improving your sight reading and memorization. The theory sections or separate theory books in your method are a great place to start, as well as musictheory.net and the Basics of Keyboard Theory workbook series. I will also mention that occasionally for this particular trait, sometimes the total opposite is true. A percentage of self-taught students are like walking music dictionaries or music theory textbooks, and studying music broadly is just as important to them, or perhaps even more so, than learning to play an individual instrument. So if you're one of those weirdos who completely unprompted decided to learn all of the minute details of sonata form or fills out 12-tone matrices in your spare time, I love you, you're the best. Now, my final bonus trait that I think is common for self-taught learners is a true joy and passion for learning that sometimes very sadly can get stripped away by an overly strict or overly formal learning approach. Obviously, this isn't a universal, but I personally love taking on students with a self-taught background because even if there are some things to correct, the passion, joy, and motivation are usually there in spades. Please share with me in the comments any other problems that you think are common to self-taught students, and perhaps the solutions that have worked for you. And as always, thank you so much for watching and happy practicing.